This is our first print, straight out of the box. Haven't even plugged it in yet. Haven't loaded a file yet. We're just gonna print this little test piece here. Welcome back. Today we're gonna be setting up this Anycubic Kobra 2 Max 3D printer. Now that we have our computer fully built and we've set up our entire workstation, we're running the Ubuntu 22.04. We will install ROS later once we have the 3D printer all set up. You can see I got both monitors working. So now we need to focus on setting up our 3D printer and then installing all the drivers and all the software that we're going to use, and we'll do some test prints. So let's get into it. So the reason I got a 3D printer this big is because we're going to be doing large structural components for these robots. So I just wanted to maximize our build area. The first thing we take out of the box is this foam pad, but it's got these rods in it, so we're going to have to keep that. It does come with a nice user manual. This video is not sponsored by Anycubic, so if Anycubic wants to get in the robotic game, I'm open for some kind of collaboration. The first thing I see in here is the actual bed. So it looks like we've got some bed, we've got some motors over here. So I'm just gonna be careful to take everything out of the box one at a time. It looks like pulling these out is the first step. So this is just covering these lead screws, which is what the motors are attached to. So the first thing you got to do is just pull these out. And then it looks like we can pull this whole section out, and the 3D print head is here. So let's move this out. And the display, and some power cords. You can see those things. All right, so let's get this out of the box. Now that we have it out of the box, it's still in this padding. I'm just going to pull this out as gently as possible. It looks like it just comes out easy. Maybe a little more demanding than I thought. There, you've got some important parts there. They've decided to hide things in the padding, so make sure you get. And let's see what's in here. These are our stabilizing rods. I'm gonna suspect these are stabilizing rods. So we've got the print head. We've got this something. This is probably looks like fits a spool on it. We have the spool right here. They sent me a free standard spool. So it looks like that's going to connect somewhere here. We don't need that now. We have our user manual we need to get out. There's the screen for control. And then we've got a bunch of different things. Looks like they included a USB drive, some tools, zip ties, cables, and then a main power cable. So the first thing it does is it shows us this diagram of how the unit is supposed to go together. So you can see it like that. So it looks like we have zip ties down here that need to be cut. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Make sure you don't cut any of your rubber cables. The tower part of this is actually already fixed on, which is just for transportation. So the whole thing arrives in one clean pack. So the first thing we have to do is locate this tool set and start to take it apart. that seems really important. These need to be taken off. I'm just taking these off where I can get to them. These plates right here. All right, so now that we've got all these bolts taken out, this thing should be free. It looks like we have to take this thing all the way off. You're gonna take these things out completely. So you actually have to slide the bed to get to these. There is 4 plates in total, 16 screws in total, and we might reuse them, so just make sure you save them. Let's see how this, okay. This just comes out like that. And it looks like this is now going to come back on here, and it looks like they've left us the little marks. So I slid the bed all the way forward, and now I can line this up right there. Yes, we're good. That's how the top part is going to anchor on to the base. So this is the vertical part that comes down, and right here I'm putting a screw here and a screw here to anchor the vertical part to the horizontal part. These screws are already there, and then we have this other bolt that came with the pack that's going to go in that long hole right there. So 1, 2, 3. To get those 3 screws on one side, you have to do the same thing on the other side, obviously. The next part is going to be installing these structural components to the diagonal to brace the vertical part diagonally with the horizontal structure. To attach these horizontal braces, we're going to put the long bolt and the large washer, as you can see here, down at the bottom of the base, and we're going to put these smaller screws and smaller washers and nut to the top part, which is going to be located here. So it says we work from the inside out on the top, and we're going to start with that. So first we have the bolt, then we have the layer, which is on the machine, what we're bolting to. Then we put the washer, then we put our diagonal brace, and then last is the nut. This is also a locking nut, so it's not easy to tighten by hand. So you don't want to get that too tight because we have a lot of adjustments to make. What we do want to make sure is that it lines up with the hole at the bottom. We need to put the bolt through the arm first, then through the large washer. So now that we've tightened everything down on this side, so we just have to repeat the same process on the other side. Hopefully you can see this here. Bolt goes in first, then small washer, then the arm, and then this locking nut, and we tighten like this. All right, get that nice and snug. Unscrew it a little bit, give it a little room. I noticed that these both need to be unscrewed quite a bit. I'm just going to give you a detailed view of what this looks like now. This is what we just did. So it's bolt, and then the vertical component, there's a washer, and then this is the rod that connects it, and then there's the locking nut right there. So that's the top. That's how it should look. And then on the bottom, it's just the bolt through our diagonal piece, through this washer, and into the base. So the next step is to install the print head. And for this, they want us to actually pull on this belt so that this middle piece comes down to about the center here. So now you can see this vertical part is lowered here. So we're actually going to mount the print head on here now. Allen wrench to get to it. The back of the print head actually gets mounted by these 4 screws, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. And it looks like you could just put those on first and then hang it there. But that's basically what your print head will look like when it's on the printer. So the next step is actually just to put this little red screw on here, and this is going to tighten the belt as it rolls across here. The screen, and that's just going to mount up here on the front, looks like. So this is how the faceplate mounts on the side using those Allen wrenches, and then this guy plugs in right here, and it only plugs in one way, which is the pins are exposed on the top. So on this side, you just have the spool. This unscrews and connects onto here, and then the 2 bolts connect like that, like that. Then we take the print head spool and fish it through there. And then this little piece has a screw already in it, and it just connects right onto the back. Once we feed the line into here, we screw this guy on right there, and then our filament will just feed in through there. The next thing we have to do is find this antenna, this little guy, and plug him straight into, just plug that straight into the base and tighten it down by hand. So we have everything finished, and I'm going to show you the details of how I wired the thing so that you know how to wire yours. I'm also going to show you all of the components that are left over so you don't think that you're not using things. It looks like we have the USB still here. Nuts with the locking washers, never use those. This is a print head, I do recognize that. A couple zip ties, there's our Allen wrenches, and then this is some filament. So these are all the things we have left over that we didn't use, obviously the tools, but there are some nuts that looks like these should have been used. So after we screwed this thing on and we stuck this in here, we actually had to pull the wires out on this side. So make sure that your wires are coming out here. There's also a different set of cables that are powering just the bed. So these are 2 different cable sets. So the first one comes here, and all the wires are attached underneath, and they're clearly labeled by the size. So this one is labeled E. All you have to worry about is that. And then there is this one here. There's another one here. And then there's another one there. So all of those are kind of, let's say, midway coming off of this cord cable. And then the cable actually goes all the way up here and plugs in just like this. That is actually plugged down, and then that thing just snaps over it, I guess, to keep it in place. And then all we did was plug in this right here. So that's all we had to do. There's a massive plug here that actually needs to go in, and then this one here. And then down here, these guys just come right out from underneath, and they just go right there and right there. You do want to make sure that this guy right here is secure, but it doesn't actually clip on. All right, so we're done. I'm going to move this back over here where it's going to be set up so I can plug it in, and then we'll figure out the rest of it. So I just turned on the 3D printer over here, and next area, we'll do global. Looks like there's a bunch of different networks I can choose from. I'm gonna skip that. Enjoy your 3D printing. Start operation guide. Let's do yes. Let's do insert the U-disc correctly according to the diagram. So I'm gonna assume that that is this, what they gave us. So I'm gonna stick this guy in here. And I'm gonna hit next. So now it's actually moving the print head and calibrating the bed. So it looks like we are X, and then now it's moving down, so it's going to calibrate the Z directions. So when that finishes, then I'll come back. The last thing I have to do is come on here and hit finish. And it is preheating nozzle. It looks like it's working right there, so let's let it do that. So while we wait for that to finish up, I'm actually going to unbox our filament. Gray filament. So I did snip that just so we have a nice clean edge. So I flipped this around so it's top feeding, and then I fed that in through here and all the way through. And I think it got attached because I can't back it off anymore. And it feels like it's actually pulling, on the filament. So I think it's working. And right now we are on step 2, wiping nozzle. So now it actually moved on to step 3, and it is doing something. Looks like we have a little plastic coming out there, which is good. Hopefully it'll wipe that off. It looks like it's just touching the 3D print desk. Hopefully we can get that plastic off there. I know that tip is really hot, so I don't want to do it with my hand. But let's just let it do this and we'll come back. Now we have done the step 1. It did that and then it probed all over the bed. You saw that. And we're just going to finish now. So now it's asking us to load the filament, which we already did. Next. It's about to restart. Please place the printer smoothly. All right. So now it's going to detect the vibration. Don't touch the printer. So it's going to calibrate the vibration as it moves. And if there's any kind of wobble in the table, which there might be, it's going to try to adjust for it. So it's shaking really fast. And I can feel the table vibrating. So let it do this, and then we'll finish up. So now the vibration is complete. We're gonna hit finish. It says print model. We're just gonna hit yeah, and we're gonna see what it does. It says this is a Shark beer bottle opener. So it's gonna print it. Looks like it's warming up. The print bed looks like it's hot. The print tip looks like it's warming up, so let's let that get to 220. And everything else looks good. So let's wait for this to print. So now that we are at 220, it fired up. So it looks like it did a little cleaning right there, which is nice. So that's where it cleans the nozzle. And then it started printing this little bottle cap. So this is our first print straight out of the box. Haven't even plugged it in yet. Haven't loaded a file yet. We're just gonna print this little test piece here. print is just about done here. And this thing, I understand why they call him a bed slinger, because the whole desk is wobbling from this guy shaking back and forth. It's really crazy. You can see that wobble. So I'm gonna have to position this so it's not in that orientation. But yeah, basically, this thing's almost done here, and you can see that it's already printing the top layer right there. Right, it looks like our print is just about finished, and now this thing is really shaking. Oh man. All right, just finishing up a few extra things, and it looks like we are all done here. All right, so there is our first print. It doesn't look perfect, but I think it's because we had so many wobbles, so hopefully we can fix that. So it printed this little shark bottle opener, as you can see right there. It's pretty strong. It didn't perfectly get everything, but we're gonna fix that. I did set it up like this, so hopefully the axis along this side of the table, it was shaking as it was you know, oriented in this direction. So if we have it oriented in this direction, I think it'll be fine, which also gives us a little more room for our computer. So we're done with that. We got a test print. We're gonna go ahead and in the next video, we're gonna set up CAD and our slicing software so we can actually start modeling things, and then we'll bring them to the 3D printer to make them. All right, I'll see you in the next video.